Hey, good Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us on social media. We just want to let you know that we're bringing you some news headlines because we have former special counsel Robert Mueller delivering testimony, but we wanted to bring you some of our local headlines this morning.
Yes, we will. You'll get to the forecast in a second, but first, let's start with this. There is an increased fire danger prompting a campfire ban in certain parks in the Columbia River Gorge. We're talking about Ainsworth, Memaloose, and Viento State Parks. The ban means no wood fires, charcoal grills, anything where the flame can't be turned off with a switch. That ban, by the way, starts today, and officials say they don't know when the restrictions will be lifted.
All right, so this next story caught me off guard yesterday when it came through my social feeds. The Country Cat Dinner House and Bar on Stark Street, it's closing its doors. This is one of the best restaurants, in my opinion, in town. They've gotten national exposure over the years on the Food Network, so they're going to close after Sunday brunch on August the 4th. Again, they've been all over the place. We've had them on our show a lot over the years. They have been seen again on the Food Network. The good news here, the good takeaway, is that the location at the airport will stay open. So they're not going away, but they are closing down their flagship place on Stark.
How come? Just not enough business in that location? Do we know yet?
The Instagram post did not detail why.
Pretty vague.
You know, I mean, we've had Adam Sappington and his wife. They are the owners of the Country Cat. We've had them on before, and I know that they really helped build up that neighborhood there at Southeast 80th and Stark over the years. The neighborhood became better in many ways because they showed up on the scene and other businesses followed them. But I think it's, you know, it's always a struggle, right? These local restaurants competing against one another. Sure. When they opened up at the airport, I was like, my goodness, look at this. I showed up in that terminal. I was like, the Country Cat is at the airport. How cool is that? I'm going to come early from now on. I think that airport location may be pretty easy to run compared to the restaurant on Stark.
Yeah, could be.
They got a lot of customers by default showing up at the airport.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they have to do their due diligence to get people to show up every day at the restaurant on Stark.
I don't want us to speculate that they're closing because of a lack of customers, because I've never been to that.
You're right.
That restaurant where, in fact, you're not waiting to get in. I mean, there are many reasons that they could have chosen. I'm going to make the assumption the customer count was not one of them.
Maybe the Sappingtons just wanted to ease
Maybe they want to focus on the airport location.
Because another favorite of mine, the Milo City Cafe. I just found out that they're not closing their doors, but the longtime owners for 20 years have sold. Another husband-wife team, they've sold to another couple. And they said basically they feel like they're handing over the restaurant to a couple that was in their same shoes 20 years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
But the fact is, you know, they just wanted a break. It is not easy to run a restaurant. So maybe you're right, Rob. Maybe the Sappingtons were just saying, hey, 2 is too many. Let's reduce it to the one at the airport.
I know Milo's for a fact, and you know, Marianne and Lauren, very nice people that have had that restaurant for years. I'm pretty positive their customer count, if anything, is as high as it's ever been, but they've been looking to get out, as you mentioned, for several years. Is this time to say, what is success, and let's start the next chapter in our life.
All right, another story a lot of people talking about. You know, we talk all the time about how Portland's getting so crowded, it keeps growing, there's not enough parking, all that sort of stuff. So listen to this, a new Pearl District high-rise, kind of creating a rift with a few different neighborhood groups. So there is a plan for a 23-story, a big high-rise, right, a mixed-use building to go in at Northwest 12th and Flanders. Right now, if you drive by it, it's just a parking lot. So they plan to develop it. But one of the big concerns, the building that is set to take over one lot here doesn't have any parking included in the plans, right? So neighbors are upset about that. They also say the design of it just doesn't mesh with the neighborhood. Again, all of this is still in the design phase. The city taking suggestions, so is the developer. And they've already made a couple changes because they have gotten a lot of feedback. And if you do feel passionately you want to weigh in on this, you can do that at a public hearing, which is set for September 19th. So if you think about a mixed-use building, I don't know if apartments, who knows what it will really become, but parking, no parking.
Yeah, put some parking in.
It's already a crowded area. But the whole point is that there's a new ordinance with the city, right, that they don't necessarily have to include parking, and we believe that's because they want people to use more public transportation.
I think that's one of the philosophies of doing that, and saying it doesn't fit into the neighborhood. Do you recognize some of the neighborhoods in Portland anymore? It is just exploding with growth.
Every neighborhood has their own crane.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and the Pearl is building up. I mean, noticeably, right? It is building up.
Yeah. But that just seems brutal
So
for everybody who does have a car. That's one of the reasons that people don't go into Northwest.
Right.
It's like, how are we going to
There's nowhere to park anyway.
Well, the city in general. And I feel like going back to the Country Cat story, I know that was always an issue. Parking in that Montevilla neighborhood where the Country Cat restaurant is located, always tough. Probably one of the biggest complaints they heard from their customers. I can't find anywhere to park.
I will tell you, I just sent an email yesterday for a lunch thing I'm going to be going to in a few weeks, and I said, whatever we choose, make sure it has good parking. That was like my stipulation, but it's true. I don't want to have to park 7 blocks away. And
isn't it reasonable to assume, even if the people that are going to live in this building, if it's constructed someday, even if they choose to use public transportation almost all the time, I'm going to assume most of them are still going to own a car that they need to have parked somewhere.
Not necessarily.
Even if they don't use it.
I
You
don't
don't
know
think
about
so?
that.
I think that's
You think
changing.
a lot of people don't own a car?
I think a lot of, let me ask the millennial behind the Steadicam there. Do you have a car? You must have a car, so you do. But do you know people who don't, right? A lot of people,
don't
a lot
own
of
a car.
younger kids don't, not kids,
Really?
young people.
yeah.
Don't own a car.
Wow.
We're the dinosaurs.
What happened to, this is America, man. Buy yourself a Chevy.
We're running out of resources, baby.
It's too expensive.
I almost want to just update our viewers because you may be watching this later. We're recording this newscast right now, but we're doing this online because Robert Mueller dominating the airwaves right now. NBC providing coverage of the Robert Mueller testimony. So while that's happening, we give you some local news headlines, but there's also a national video that we're going to talk about right now.
Have you guys seen this?
haven't
It's
seen this.
absolutely terrifying.
Oh, wow.
This is video of a bison going after a young girl.
Look at this.
We do want to tell you, despite how that looks, the little girl is okay. Did
She's
you see
okay.
her? Yeah.
Oh,
this
my.
is at Yellowstone National Park. The bison just charges, knocks her off her feet. She's 9 years old, threw her into the air. Park officials, though, do tell us that the child is okay.
Like, I don't want to, it's an incredible video. I really don't want to see it anymore. I get the point. Like, I'm thinking if that is an older person, I mean, literally, in even their 30s or 40s, they're in a lot worse shape. That girl, maybe because she's young, was able to withstand being tossed like that.
That's
I've been to Yellowstone one time. The bison are probably the animals that will get closest to you or your car when you're driving through that stretch of the park. But like we were talking about earlier, why on earth would you be that close to them outside of your car with a young child?
I was talking to one of our producers, and she said that everything that she's been able to research overnight, the park people, the officials say they don't know why those people were that close.
They were in a big
kinda
group.
off the road, in the grass. I mean, people just, they're wild animals.
Right.
They take it for granted. I would never put my child in that kind of danger. I am just way more cautious by nature. That's brutal.
I mean, you have to just know going to Yellowstone. I mean, there's always bison and animals crossing the roads. There are traffic jams in these state parks because, you know, cars have to stop and huge lines to wait for animals. To let your kids, I don't know what was happening. I don't know what they were doing. But to let your kid just wander, and they were out in that grassy area, heck no. There's no way.
Yeah, it's not a zoo. It's right.
No.
They're
Yeah,
not
it's not
there
a petting
the animals
zoo.
are not there to entertain you. That's their habitat. That's their natural
I think
habitat.
that's a really good way to phrase it. I think people do look at it as kind of entertainment. Hey, let's go see the animals.
Or they go out and take selfies and videos next to these bison. And
But man, I couldn't believe that video. I knew before I saw the video that little girl had been thrown. I didn't realize, and she was tossed high in the air, flipping, and thankfully, again, the news is that she is okay.
Yeah.
The little girl's okay.
Okay, what else you got?
Summer Olympics.
1
year from this very day, the games in Tokyo will get underway. Ashley, please tell me more about the medals that the athletes will be vying for.
Okay, so the designer said when they made these, they had in mind that they would resemble rough stones that have been polished and they're all shiny and bright and pretty. The front side has the Tokyo Olympic emblem on it, and then the back side shows a Greek goddess of victory on it. So that's kind of cool.
So everybody's getting excited about the games more and more and more. Japanese demand for tickets, we're told, appears to be as much as 10 times higher than the supply. So interest is surging around the world. I reached under the desk and I got our fans that NBC gave us.
Where's mine? Where's Rod's?
Tokyo 2020.
Didn't we get the story yesterday where they're being made out of recycled phones? Didn't we have that story? Am I hallucinating on this?
I've forgotten already.
The medals were made out of, they were asking people to turn in their old cell phones, and they were using that recycled material
Perhaps.
to make the medals this year.
Well, we need this.
It's funny, Rod, because the next story we're talking about, how often does Rod Hill hallucinate? Studies show, no, honestly, we did talk yesterday
Not a bad
about,
way to spend your life, I might add.
The excitement of the Summer Games. 1 year from today, again, they start in Tokyo. And we were discussing yesterday, you know, what do you look forward to more, the Winter Games or the Summer Games?
Yeah.
Brenda, you stated you are a Summer Games girl.
All the way.
Summer
Love
girl.
gymnastics, love track and field.
Yeah.
Rod is a Winter Olympic fan. I mean, you still like the Summer Games, but you prefer the Winter.
Yeah, mainly because I get tired of seeing so much swimming.
No, and your daughter ice skates. So I
And
think
our daughter
you're-
ice skates,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then there's Ashley. I have no idea where you stand on
I
this.
love the Summer Games, but I'm going to say I like the Winter Games better.
Okay.
I don't know. I just love the skiing, all the snow events, all of that.
Yeah.
I do
Shaun
remember,
White.
I remember as a kid getting excited about the Dream Team, right? The Summer Olympics is where they had basketball, and the first time
yeah.
that Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and Michael Jordan came
Yeah,
together.
it's like magical.
This year, baseball is back, which is cool. The last time we had Summer Olympics, there was
Yeah.
no baseball. Baseball should be a part of the games.
Are they using, I don't know, are they using major leaguers? What are they doing? Do you
I
know?
believe not.
Not.
It's tough because it's right in the middle of the major
Well,
league
yeah,
season.
that's why I asked. Because hockey does, well, hockey was doing that. Now the NHL, I believe, pulled the plug on that.
I thought
'Cause
the
it was
last
so
time the
disruptive.
Winter Games happened, the NHL did break in the season and let their players go play in the
But
Olympics.
there was much debate that
Right.
the NHL was not happy with that.
We're getting way off topic. I know.
Anyways,
I
getting
know.
into the
I don't
weeds here.
begrudge
Can we do this
baseball.
next story?
My
This
most
is one that
boring
I'm
game.
interested in. This is funny.
Most boring game, did you say?
Yeah, I mean,
gosh.
I don't begrudge it being in the
You
Olympics.
ever been to Busch Stadium in St. Louis?
I just think baseball
I
is
rest my
boring.
case. You've never
I
been to
just
Busch
do.
Stadium in St. Louis?
I do. This next story may surprise you because what you do for a living may affect how well you drive.
This is
so
an
your
interesting
profession
story.
tied to your performance on the road.
How do we know this? Well, we know because of a website called Insurify. They studied insurance applications to figure out what the best drivers in the world do for a living and what the worst drivers do for a living.
here we
So,
go.
turns out, journalists,
Not weather people, but journalists. Continue.
journalists, Rod, also ticket sales representatives and bartenders. They're all among the worst drivers on the road.
Wow.
Who are the best, you may ask? Well, the study proved that postmasters,
Oh.
music composers,
Yeah.
and police officers
I would hope
Ashley,
so.
How
are
would
among
we
the best
know?
drivers.
Because they don't pull over each other.
Well, Ashley,
do we know?
is your husband a good driver? Ashley's husband works in law enforcement. Is he a good driver?
So yeah,
would you
he's
say?
on the best driver list and I'm on the worst driver list. He would probably say I agree with that. I disagree. I think I'm a better driver. No, I'm not.
you've
I'm
never- I don't
not a
think
great
you've gotten
driver.
any tickets, have
I've
you?
had them in the past for speeding.
Oh, okay.
Never anything
Little
more
bit of a
serious. A
lead
little bit
foot.
of lead foot, a little road rage. I get a little. No, I'm kidding. I just get a little. You know, I need to get there fast.
Yeah.
But
You're feisty.
you know,
The studies have proven, though,
he
like,
is a safe driver.
and if you ever have to take one of those corrective driving courses because
Yeah.
perhaps you've acquired too many speeding
I've never
tickets.
had to take
Tell
a
us about that
corrective
experience.
Please do.
class.
I'm not saying I'm speaking from experience. I just happen to know that what they'll teach you there, and it is true, you know, going 10 miles over the speed limit to get someplace that's 15 minutes away really is not going to get you
Right.
there any faster. Maybe you'll get there 30 seconds sooner.
It's hard
What's
to
the
think
difference?
that when you're driving.
Makes you feel good, though, doesn't it?
Okay, so can I tell you why they say that, though? And by the way, we're just talking about things like speeding tickets. What else? Driving with a suspended license. Nothing like super serious
These are the
here.
infractions we're talking
yes,
about, right?
but the study says these people who are the worst drivers tend to have unconventional hours or have exhausting or stressful labor involved in their job. So
Wow.
that's what they attribute being a bad driver
We
to.
certainly fall into the bad hours category.
Right.
No, I'm a
I get
weather
up at
person, not a journalist.
2:15.
Don't get me mixed into this
Please,
bad category.
you drive the same way I do, and I see you flying by my car
Whoa.
in the mornings
Well,
on
weather's
I-5.
important. I must get to the radar
They
site as
basically
soon as
made
possible.
a citizen's arrest on you this morning,
I
Rod
think
Hill.
I'm going to next time.
Rod Hill, would you please deliver for us and them
Is it my turn?
a weather
is.
forecast for the
Yes.
ages?
Beautiful day, and you know, it's that time of year when you get down into the 50s and even 40s in some spots. You know, the house really cools off at night. I think most people like that. So this was earlier this morning. We had a 47 up in Battleground, a 48 down in Newburgh. I mean, everybody was at least comfortably down to the 50s. Salem at McNary Field checked in earlier this morning at 54 degrees. Should be a beautiful day. It was upper 70s yesterday. Today, no widespread cloudiness at all this morning. Generally, this is just a mostly sunny day. 73 at lunchtime. I have us up to 82 for high, which, by the way, would smack dab equal the so-called seasonal average for this time of the year.
So-called.
Now, tomorrow, different story. The heat gets turned up. I have us at 87. I wouldn't be surprised if some folks hit 90 tomorrow. It's going to be a hot afternoon. Friday closed, but then we get another push of some marine air that will cool us off in the Pacific going into the weekend. And right now, the 7-day forecast is dry. And, you know, modeling is still not consistently spitting out any big stretches of hot weather. I mean, it's hard to imagine that we're not going to have a big stretch at some point in August because we've had 1, 2, just 3 days of PDX at 90. so far this summer. Crying out loud, we did that in, I want to say in one day last year.
I know,
So
right? I think 87 is hot, so you're right in the zone. Yeah. Don't change
I
a
actually
thing.
recall, not last year was hot, but just a few years ago, there was a summer where we didn't have any 90-degree temperatures until September. I believe that's true. You can look it up, weatherman. But I'm going to say in the last 5 years, we had a summer where there were no 90-degree temperatures until we hit September.
I find that hard to believe. I'm not saying it's not right. I don't remember.
Tomorrow when we come on Sunrise, I want you to find out from me or tell me
Sensing
if that
a little
was
bet
true or
here.
not.
Maybe
I'm going to look it up
coffee.
myself.
Can we go back 5 years?
Please, yes. You don't have to go back any further than that.
I'll go back 6.
No, it's in the last 5 years. I'm confident it was the last 5 years.
All right.
We recorded this broadcast, by the way. So if people are seeing this online, they can comment whether we did a nice job. If we didn't, we'll re-record it. How's that?
Well, hold on. You don't have to comment, by the way.
Oh, that is going to be a wrap before we continue
get
this
into
debauchery.
trouble.
Yes, and get into
Exactly.
trouble. Bye, guys. Have a great day. We'll be back with more updates right here on social media.